Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Words for Life, the podcast where we look at motivation and inspiration through quotes, phrases, and people. Today, we're going to look at a quote that I found that was kind of inspirational for myself, and it really spoke to how we need to embrace who we are and accept or either choose to change the things that we want to. The quote goes like this: "There is no need to be perfect to inspire others. Let people get inspired by how you deal with your imperfections." This quote is quite interesting for myself because, as you've all have probably heard me on previous podcasts, and if you haven't, there is a podcast on perfection. The idea that perfection doesn't exist. We shouldn't really be striving for perfection because it can lead us to a downward spiral of never being good enough. The important thing to know is that we all have our imperfections, but what we choose to do with them really speaks volumes to our character, who we are, and who we want to be. So, as we go through and look at this quote, many people can become inspired through our own imperfections or really how we deal with them. Do you choose to ignore your imperfections or do you choose to improve on them? Do you try and make a conscious choice to make your imperfections less so, or do you try and actually maybe change those into strengths and grow them into something that is going to benefit not only yourself, but possibly others? It is really in that growth or that choice or that change of how we work with our imperfections that determine our next steps and what we're going to do in life. When those around us choose to do something, we see it. And we ourselves can be inspired by seeing those conscious choices that others are making on how they deal with their imperfections. So, my question to you is this: what imperfections do you have? We all have them. It's really part of our character. And the choice is, what do you want to do with them? So, do you choose to go and gloss over your imperfections? Do you try and shore up other areas of your life to downplay your imperfections? That is an option, and there isn't anything wrong with that if that's the choice you want to make. Or do you look at those imperfections, try and dissect them, and determine what steps you want to take to maybe improve them? Obviously, not make them perfect, but improve them, grow them into something that is going to be to your advantage. When you do that, or when you make that conscious choice to change those imperfections, those around you will pick that up. And you can find that some people will actually go and start working on their own imperfections themselves. A good example of this is that I had the imperfection of kind of being a little bit of a workaholic. I would go and focus so much on my job and so much on the work I needed to do that I stopped taking care of my family and my relationships and my health. And it was really causing a lot of issues. So, this is an imperfection of mine. This was something that I needed to deal with. So, I made a conscious choice to make sure that I didn't work past certain hours of the day unless absolutely necessary. Through this process, I regained much of my health, reestablished my relationships, and really made my family a more of a holistic, cohesive unit, more so than it was when I was frantically working, trying to cover every angle and every obstacle that was thrown at me at work. Now, this is me and how I chose to deal with my imperfections. My imperfection being my ability to manage time to allow enough time to be able to work on relationships, family, my health, and other aspects of life, not just work. An unexpected result of this kind of came out of it. Those around me recognized the advantage of being able to set boundaries and create a better space for themselves mentally, emotionally, possibly even physically regarding work. And others started following a similar pattern to actually going and working the necessary hours, handling the important and escalations as necessary, but not going too much further and able to ensure that their lives were balanced and they had enough life work balance and not too much work life balance. So that's one example of how my actions had actually inspired others to go and do things for themselves and try and improve on possibly their own perfections. So, my ask of you is this: take a look at what your imperfections are, make some conscious choices around them, and decide whether you want to try and improve them. Do you want to try and downplay them? Or do you want to just let them be? Sometimes that's a good option too, especially if they might not be causing any detrimental effect to your life. Now that you've gone and reviewed your imperfections, make those choices for what you want to do and how you want to handle them. You will be surprised that those around you will recognize those conscious choices for what you do, and they might even start making some of their own conscious choices regarding their own imperfections. In the end, there's no need to be perfect to inspire others. Let people get inspired by how you deal with your imperfections. We all have imperfections, and it really is in how we work with those imperfections that can inspire others. If you have some stories about how you work with your imperfections, please let me know. I'd be quite interested. You can contact me at attitudealtitudeandacceptance@gmail.com. Also, as a reminder, I am offering coaching services. So if you're interested in that, I've left a link to my website below so you can come and reach out to me and have a free consultation to see if this is something that you are interested in. I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of Words for Life. Thank you and have a great day.